Hello everyone, I'm going to present you my topic, which is living poverty analysis on time preferences of the Mexican population. My empirical question, which is something that drive me to make this research, is does welfare aid improve life of people living in poverty? Does supplying aid provides a good solution for people living in poverty, or their preferences make them stay the same? Can we escape poverty traps? And is there an underlying relation in which we can establish an optimum level of aid to increase productivity? The literature review, I'm going to explain you a little bit about the Mexican context, and then we're going to go ahead to the research papers that I found addressing these problems. Throughout time, Mexico has had a large amount of people living with income poverty. Different solutions have been tested, yet none has been effective enough to address this problem, to solve this problem. One of the most famous programs known internationally is the Prospera program, which is called Prosperity in English. It's Prospera, Progresa, Oportunidades, and Prospera. This is a line of the same program with a slow or tiny variations through time. But this is a policy that aims to decrease poverty through multidimensional schemes, providing aid not only for income, but also for health and schooling. Then what I looked after are some works about social mobility, then also some of them working on poverty traps, and they mostly address, in the case of Mexican research papers, that social mobility is an issue in Mexico because it's too hard to move yourself from the lowest decile to the highest decile. There are not that much opportunities, and therefore poverty seems to be consistent as well as inequality. Then what I researched from the poverty traps papers is that usually poverty traps are not just income. They are not just like, oh, I need money, and you can give them money and go out. They usually have problems with health, with electricity, with other services, basic services that they have to fulfill as well. Then the model specification, I'm going to use an RDD, which requires two assumptions that are non-perfect manipulation of the running variable and nothing else changes at the CUDA. And my model is constructed as the following. For my outcome variables, I'm going to use three different variables, which is time used to work, time used to study, and time spent on personal activities. My running variable is going to be income, and this is going to be the one that is going to be trying to test the time preferences given that they have a certain level of income. I believe that is likely to hold the assumption of the cutoff because people having $1 or $2 extra, let's say, just to make you familiar with the topic, that have $1 or $2 extra of income, they should have more or less the same living standard that one that has one or two less. And at the same time, when we will get to the data, you will see the testing on the density assumption. So then, despite income as my running variable, I have a dummy for welfare that is going to control that effect from receiving or not any type of aid from the government, a life vector of variables, which accounts for the lifestyle, one for education, and a time vector which accounts for all other activities that they report they did that may get rid of them some time to work, study, or spend on personal activities. My data, obviously everyone should be asking, where the hell did you get that data? So just for you to know, in Mexico we have the Mexican National Institution for Geography and Statistics called INEGI, which provides with several surveys they make every 2 years or every 3 years. One of them is a survey for income and household expenditures for the years 2012 and 2014, from which I could get all of the information that I required. Then, in order to run the regression, I decided to transform the variables of income and the variable of time measures to a daily observation to make them comparable. In other words, I changed the variable of income that was in 3-month income to a daily income, and then the time measurements that were in weekly to daily. So I could compare daily against daily. Finally, the problem that I see in this data set is that we see the presence of mass points. The problem with mass points is that when you run an RDD regression, your variation gets reduced. Fortunately, this problem, my data set was big enough to solve this problem. And at the same time, I see measurement errors coming from possible under or over reporting from time preferences or from income when this survey was taken. Going on, I will talk to you a little bit about my summary statistics. For 2012, the variable that has the most observations goes up to 50,000 observations. And then when I go to 2014, I find out that the observations grew up to 100,000. Then testing the running variable, which again is one relevant part. Here I show the histogram about the daily income. The two blue lines that you see there represent the first one in the left, the extreme income poverty line, one of the most important qualifications for the program. If you are not living in extreme income poverty, you wouldn't have that privilege to be in the program. Or if you live in the second blue line, which is the poverty by income, you can be part of the program, but not fully. I have my density test. This is just for the year 2012, and all of them are significant, up to 99%. I repeated the same process for 2014. What I want you to notice is that almost half of the population lives under the line of poverty within these two histograms for 2012 and 2014. The model estimation, this is something that is kind of rough